Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tuesday edition of Video Clips, which is brought to you by WellnessForumHealth and the Wellness Forum Institute for Health Studies. First of all, it's time to redeem your cancer gift card, the one that you got for signing the Prevent Cancer Pledge. You can apply it to several different things, one of which is a reduction in your conference ticket. And I've been featuring a different conference speaker every week. And today I'll mention that my very good friend and colleague, Ellen Siegel, is joining me for a great conversation. She wrote a terrific book a few years ago called Be Happy No Matter What. And I promise you will be happy no matter what, happier at least by the time we break for dinner after listening to our conversation on Friday afternoon. So if you don't know about how to redeem your gift card, just send me an email at pampopper@msn.com. I have two news items to share with you today. And the first one concerns kind of a surprising topic for many of you, I would imagine, the influence of paternal health on children's health. And I'm not talking about the behavior that dads model for their kids, like eating good food and exercising. I'm talking about preconception health. So I think everybody understands the important role that a woman's health status plays pre-conception and during pregnancy, but not enough attention is paid to the same issue for dads. And their diets and health status matter too. For example, one study showed that if a father experienced food scarcity during the years preceding puberty, his children had a 58% lower risk of dying of heart disease as adults. On the other hand, a study showed that the opposite was true. Too much food and too much eating resulted in a fourfold increased risk of mortality due to diabetes and grandchildren. So the effect is not just the first generation, but multi-generational. The impact is not just based on how much future dads eat, but also which foods they choose. A study of father rats showed that after 12 weeks of eating a high-fat diet, newborn daughter rats had a 30% reduction in pancreatic beta cell mass. Now, beta cells produce insulin, so it's not surprising then that when those daughter rats became adults, they had a higher risk of glucose intolerance and lower plasma insulin levels. Birth weight is lower for human babies if the father has diabetes and or eats fast food frequently, and the fast food can actually be part of what causes diabetes. Additionally, data from over 3,000 families showed that the father's weight at conception had a significant influence on the weight of the children after factoring in the weight of the mother. Paternal obesity can also negatively impact neurological development. Researchers looked at data for 3,759 single birth children and 1,062 twins and their parents. The risk of impaired social functioning, which includes issues like avoidance of interpersonal relationships and social isolation, increased if fathers were obese, and having two obese parents increased the likelihood of failing for several domains, which included fine motor, personal social, and problem solving. The mechanisms of action, by the way, are known. Small RNA molecules in sperm, referred to as mitochondrial tRNA fragments, influence the inheritance of health traits through gene regulation. So the bottom line is a father's health preconception matters and has a profound influence on the health and life of the child. Today, let's face it, most Americans are overweight and unhealthy. They're getting fatter and sicker throughout their lifetimes, which is resulting in generations of increasingly unhealthy people who not only create a financial burden for all of this, but also diminished quality of life and reduced lifespan for them, which is really, I think, a more important issue. Intervention is needed, and we're going to provide it with our emerging new healthcare system, which we'll hear more about if you are joining us for our conference this weekend. Quick announcement, and then we'll get to the next news item. Every year, I offer 2 weekend programs just once a year, Optimal Life and Health with Pam, part 1 and 2. Part 1 is the basics of how I do what I do. I mean, you guys know how much I get done in a day, more than some people do in 3 weeks. I do take care of myself. I eat great food. I exercise a lot and sleep like a baby, even though it's stressful out there. I take no meds, even though I'm 68. And I get emails all the time, people asking me, how do I do it? So this weekend, which is November 15th and 16th, Friday night, all day Saturday, is where I teach you how. And then the second part is healthy aging, how you can age chronologically, but even maybe go backwards a little bit biologically. All right. So and that is the December 6th and 7th, same thing, Friday night, all days, Saturday. So if you want more details about those, just send me an email at pampopper@msn.com. All right, so here's the second news item. It's an email from a subscriber, which I paraphrased a little bit for clarity and brevity. And I also wanted to omit the names of all but one of the doctors because I just don't like to call people out. I'd rather just speak about facts and not get into that kind of stuff unless it's really egregious. All right, so here is what my subscriber writes. I read your recent newsletter, New Guidelines for Vitamin D, with great interest. A few days before your newsletter arrived, I received an email regarding a symposium that's being held in Canada. I respect two of the doctors presenting, one of whom has endured considerable persecution due to his stance on COVID and reports that he is a firm believer in vitamin D. Dr. Michael Hollick is also a presenter at the event, and I did choose to include his name because he is the father of the vitamin D hoax, which is what I was talking about in the video that this subscriber is referring to. I had not heard your information, the email continues, about vitamin D and was very interested to learn that. This also makes me wonder if I'm being led down the wrong path regarding magnesium supplementation. I've read a book titled The Magnesium Miracle, in which the author claims to sell the best magnesium product. The author is both an MD and a naturopath. Do you have a statement on magnesium? So here's my answer. Thank you for writing. And yes, the claims about magnesium are similarly false as the ones about vitamin D. First, and this is just a general statement, there are no magical nutrients that are effective for treating anything. Dietary pattern and the right food choices are required for health improvement and maintenance. The bottom line for most supplements, for most indications, is that they're useless and potentially harmful. And while I applaud the doctors who stood up regarding the COVID issue, it would be terrific if they started questioning almost everything else that they learned about health. The fact that the conflicted Dr. Hollick is speaking at this conference is an indication, I think, that this group of doctors doesn't really know how to read the medical literature, at least as it pertains to vitamin D, or to properly question novel theories before adopting them, like the vitamin D hoax. When I hear the statement, he is a firm believer in vitamin D, it scares me. How about becoming a firm believer in rules of evidence and learning how to follow them, regardless of where they take us? Doctors, generally speaking, and there are exceptions, don't know how to do this, which is why we have to charge them to train them before they can join us, because we just can't have that in our system, right? And by the way, vitamin D is not a vitamin, it's a hormone, which is one of the reasons why supplementation has the potential to be so harmful. When people talk about the importance of this nutrient, the first impulse is to laugh, for me anyway, is to laugh at such stupidity, but then to become serious about the impact of such stupidity on human health. Regarding magnesium, I don't really issue statements about anything. Instead, we have created vast libraries of information based on these rules of evidence that I've talked about, which all of our members learn when they join. Protecting consumers against the medical system, which is staffed with believers in vaccines or vitamins or screening tests or whatever, has been our business for almost 30 years. Our members routinely know more about how to read and filter health information than their providers, and many are alive today because of this skill that we've taught them. So I finished my email to this subscriber saying, I hope you'll consider joining so you can learn from us too. You'll find that science is fun, knowing about medicine and healthcare is empowering, and you'll be protected from bad practices for life. And on that note, if you are interested in learning more about membership and exploring that option, we've created this terrific video. You can watch it on your own time at home. Send me an email at pampopper@msn.com, and I will return the link to the video to you, and you can see what membership is all about and see if it's for you. All right, that's it for today. As usual, pass this on to anybody who you think would enjoy watching it, and I will be back to you on Thursday with more news.